What's up, y'all? Today I'm going to be going over this little poison rogue build that I got cooked up here. Currently, I cannot showcase this build as the servers are down for, I think, 1.2. Why my camera out of focus? Yo, come on! There we go. It is currently down because they're updating the 1.2.1 update, but I figured I'd come here and just do a little showcasing of this build real quick, and then as soon as the servers come up, I'll do some actual gameplay of the build. But I just wanted to go over it real quick, do a quick little video here to show y'all what is up, kind of like the passes you pick, and what kind of skills you're rocking. But yeah, let's get into it. So yeah, basically you're gonna be rogue. Obviously, this is the whole point of the build. You're going to want to pick 8 into this to give you some attack speed and physical. You're going to do 1 in the steady hand to give you some dex and health. You're going to want to pick twin blades so that you can run dual wielding, which is very important for this build as well. You're going to do 5 in the lethal cadence, which is every third melee throw or bow attack deals increased damage. Very important to, obviously buff your damage like crazy. And then you're going to want to put 5 in the poison tipped, which will give you 50% chance the poison with the dagger. So this is where you're going to stop at here in the rogue tree, because then you're going to be moving on to blade dancer. Blade dancer you're going to want to pick because it's going to give you better physical and better dodge rating, and plus you get an extra shadow. The real odd part about this build is I'm really just using the blade dancer passive tree to get better passives. You don't actually use a single blade dancer ability on this class setup here, which you might say, hey, is that kind of like a dumbass move to do? But it really isn't, because the other trees don't really have as much poison or throwing damage passives as this one does. Marksman is obviously with bows, and this is not a bow and arrow build. And then falconer, it has a little bit of throwing, but it has to deal with using a falcon, and it's really not as good as this tree. So yeah, you're going to go with blade dancer. You're going to put 8 out of 8 in the pursuit. This is going to give you increased melee and a throwing attack damage. Nice. You can put 1 into Cloak of Shadows here to give you some dex and glancing blow chance. Obviously, it's not that much, but it was kind of what I had left over at the end of the tree. Put 8 out of 8 into once. It's going to give you melee physical damage, throwing physical damage, and dodge rating if you've been hit recently. So really good for dodge and some extra damage. You're going to put 10 out of 10 in the Blood Serpent Blades. This gives you 50% global damage over time. And then depending on what you want to run, I would prefer running 2 daggers, because as you see, poison chance per equip the dagger, 50%. If you're running 2 daggers, that is 100% poison chance. So yeah. Then you're going to put 1 in the Shroud of Dusk. Like I said, this was kind of an extra point at the end. This will give you some additional health if you have a stack of Dusk Shroud. Just kind of help you with some extra damage reduction and stuff like that. Put 8 out of 8 into Scarlet Stream. It's going to give you increased physical damage, melee bleed chance, and throwing attack bleed chance. Like I said, it's not mainly a bleed build, but it is nice to have the extra stacks of bleed here. And on top of that, you're getting 40% increased physical damage, which is every skill you're pretty much using on this build that does damage. So that's mainly the reason I took this. You're going to put 5 out of 5 in the Crimson Shroud. I figured while I was already on the bleed train, I might as well continue. It grants you a chance to bleed on hit and less damage over time taken, which is also good. Like I said, I take this also for the defensive ability of taking less damage over time while having stacks of Crimson Shroud. But you also just kind of get increased bleed chance. So this is kind of like a poison and bleed type of build. Honestly, you're going to have both. But it's mainly poison, but it is nice to have the extra stacks. You can put 6 out of 6 into whatever that says, Azuvon's Pact. You get extra dodge rating, and this is where this build becomes very important to stay fully healthy. You get 90% increased damage while at full health. And we're going to get into the next couple of things here in a second that kind of buff this even more. But you're going to put 5 out of 5 into Blood Dance. And this is going to help you keep your full health. As you see, melee damage leech just health, 5%, and then increased health elite rate plus 50%. That'll help you stay at full health very easily. And then you're going to put 8 out of 8 in the Flash of Steel. This is going to give you 40% increased damage while dual wielding. Like I said, you're going to be dual wielding in this build, so that's why it's important to dual wield to get this. Then you're going to put 5 out of 5 in the Perfection, which every time you use a melee attack and hit at least one enemy, you gain a stack of Perfection. But when you receive a hit, you lose all stacks. I'm pretty sure Perfection just does more damage. It doesn't really explain what that does, but from what I've read, it just does more damage. So as long as you're not getting hit and you're at full health, you're going to be doing a shit ton of damage. And the good thing is this build you can throw a lot of your abilities, so you can stay away from stuff, so you'll be at full health a lot of times. You put 8 out of 8 into weapon of choice here. Like I said, that's why I also advise you run 2 daggers, because if you see right here, poison chance with 2 daggers, 160%. You can run, like, I guess whichever one you want here, but I prefer you run 2 daggers, because you get 50% bleed chance here with daggers, or 100% actually here, and then you get 160% here. So just using daggers alone is going to get you 260% poison chance, which is, obviously putting down 2 stacks of poison at least per hit. Then you're going to put 5 out of 5 in the confidence, as you see. With those perfection stacks now, you will be granted armor and dodge rating plus 50 each per stack. So if you manage to get all 10 stacks, you'll have 500 armor and 500 dodge rating added on. So that's nice. Then you're going to put 5 out of 5 in the hooked blades. Basically, all your hits have a chance to shred armor, and your armor shred applies more effective. So as you see, 50% chance armor shred chance, and it's going to be 25% increased stronger. On top of that, you're going to put 5 out of 5 into expertance. Look at this. Increased damage at full health plus 50%. So alone, that's going to be 140% bonus damage at full health. So like I said, you're going to want to make sure you're always at full health. And with this leech, I think that'll help out a lot. And then you're going to put 5 out of 5 into Raptor's Wings here in the Falconer tree. This is going to gain you 10% chance to gain haste. But on top of that, you're going to be doing 5% extra damage while haste is activated. This is not going to be the only way we get haste. We're actually going to be always having haste with the poison ability, and you'll see in a second. But yeah, so let's move on to the skills real quick. So the first skill you're going to take is actually one of the first skills you get in the game, and it's honestly really, really good for this build. So you put 4 to 4 in deep strikes, gets you extra damage. You're going to put this one right here is really good. 4 to 5 in vile tactics. As you see, this is a third, you strike it 3 times and then it resets. So as you see, 80% poison chance on the first strike, 80% bleed chance on the second, and then the third strike has the chance, 80% chance for poison resistance shred and physical resistance shred. So this is going to be one of the main abilities you spam on single target, which is really good because you're going to be doing a lot of poison resistance shred and stuff like that. So this is really good. You can put 3 out of 3 onto lethal vector, which is 30% damage over time, which ability is, inflicted by flurry. Like you see here, you're doing poison, so your poison will do more damage. Then you can put a 3 out of 3 on this, which as you see, just does more poison penetration, which is just going to make their poison resistance weaker. Put 2 out of 2 in relentless. This gives you stacks of each hit you deal previous flurry up to a maximum of whatever. I think it's 4. So attack speed per hit 4%. The maximum attack speed is 20, so 5 hits, 20 extra attack speed, and on top of that you'll get a bonus 15% attack speed right here. And that's pretty much it for this ability. It's going to be really quick. You're going to do a lot of damage with this. It's going to be your main damage after you spam your traps. We'll get into that in a second. You're going to want to use shift. This is also going to be like your main movement skill, and it's going to be really good not only for healing but mana regen. And you'll get some shadows down with this build as well. Put 3 out of 3 into this. Shift has a shorter cooldown, costs less mana. Good, obviously. 3 out of 3 into momentum. You gain 50% increased movement speed for a brief moment after shifting. So your build is going to be quick as shit. This one right here, emergency flask, is good. Shift consumes a health potion on use if you are below 50% health. Like I said, this build is going to be good for healing. This ability will be good for healing. And then take this lasting presence thing right here. You leave behind a shadow at the place you shifted. 4 to 4 in swift recovery. Recovers mana. And as you see, it triples if you're below half health. So really good. And then on top of that, Shadow Slip is going to make you invulnerable shifting. Really good if you're low health. Do 4 to 4 on Shadow Repercussions. You gain 60% healing. Right here, 2 out of 2. This shifting heals you for a portion equal to your deck. So if you have high health, you'll do even more healing. And then on top of that, if a single hit deals at least 50% of your health, shift cooldown is reset. So, like I said, this is really good for regaining mana, health, everything in between. And also on top of that, it is a movement skill. So it's nice to have. Moving into the main course here. Flask. So you can put 4 out of 4 in a corrosive at 80% damage, 4 to 4. And this is what I was saying right here. 4 to 4 in elixir speed. Acid Flask has a chance to gain haste for duration, 2 seconds. as you see, 100% chance, and you're going to be constantly using this, so you're going to have haste a majority of the time. If you're using this and then shifting into packs, you're going to have haste on repeat. And on top of that, as you remember from the Falconer tree, we get 5% extra damage while haste is active, so that's good as well. You're going to directly use Acid Flask. Now you throw 3 Acid Flask in a line, but it costs more mana. That's fine. Right here as well, this is crazy in my eyes. Acid Flask has a chance to shred enemy armor 400%, so you're doing 4 stacks of armor shred chance per acid thrown. Mind you, you're throwing 3 now, so that's 12 stacks of acid shred armor shred chance. Come down here, you're going to put 2 out of 4 in a caustic concoction. It gives you 100% poison chance, so you're going to be doing more poison stacks. This right here is also fucking crazy. Acid Flask has a chance to shred enemy poison resistance on hit 600%. Mind you, you're throwing 3, so this is 18 stacks of poison resistance shred. And then on top of that, this is where the build gets fun. This now becomes a trap that is thrown and explodes when enemies walk over it. I haven't got a lot of chance to test this out yet with the trap, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be pretty damn good. If it isn't, that's fine, and I would take that off and put it somewhere else. If you don't like doing the trap version, that is completely fine. If you want to take that off and put it elsewhere. But I think that, you know, explodes when enemies walk over it, right? I don't know. This is something I do need to try out still. I don't have a lot of time to, you know, test it out yet. But if this isn't good, I would just probably put another 1 point into here. But I'm trying to just mainly focus this build around using traps, and you'll see why in a second when we get to the last skill. But let's move on. But everything else you can keep the same on here. If the trap's not good, switch it to this. If it is, then keep it. Whatever your preference is. Next, you're going to use Smoke Bomb. This is not only going to, you know, make you have better dodge, but you're also going to do more damage. And also, this is going to be a good way to make some shadows. 50% duration, so it's currently 4 seconds. Half of that is 2, so it'll be 6 seconds long. As you see here, you and your allies granted smoke blades each second for 4 seconds while inside the smoke cloud, granting the additional melee and throwing damage. So you're always going to want to be throwing smoke down. I think this is going to be good for bossing. Not while you're clearing packs. This is not worth your time to always be throwing smoke down because you're going to be moving a lot with this build. So, you know, mainly use your smoke when you're doing boss damage. 4 out of 4 into Umbral Assault. This has a chance to create a shadow for each second at a random location inside the smoke. 100%. You want to max it out. As you remember, it's going to be last 6 seconds, so that would be 6 shadows created. On top of that, apply slow to enemies within the smoke for each second, so they'll have 6 stacks of slow. You're going to do 4 out of 4 on Eroding Fumes, which is actually going to change in a second. Originally, it does armor shred stacks per second, but you're going to pick this, which is going to change the armor shred and the poison resistance shred instead, which 4 times 6 is 24, so if they're in it for the full thing, they will have 24 stacks of armor shred, of poison res shred done to them. So yeah, you're going to do a lot of extra damage while you're in here, and a lot more poison damage. So you're going to want to mainly use this on bosses. You don't want to really waste it. On the main thing, you're just going to be shifting and throwing Acid Flask while doing packs, and then when you get the bosses, you're going to want to Smoke Bomb, spam Acid Flask, and then spam Flurry. In this last ability, you actually don't even need to do anything with this last ability because we'll go over that in a second, actually. So first, you're going to want to max this out. You can now have more active explosive traps. You're going to max this out. Trap Sprinkler. This is going to give you a trap drop chance. So when, an explosive trap detonates, it'll have a chance to, make a fresh new one. On top of that, you're going to do one here, which explosive traps dropped by a trap sprinkler node are now flung at nearby enemies within 12 meters instead of being dropped. Explosive traps dropped by a trap sprinkler node can now drop explosive traps when there's enemies within 12 meters. So you're going to do a lot of traps damage. There's going to be traps all over the place. And then you're going to want to pick this because now it can fling Acid Flask towards the target location when used. And it only takes Acid Flask mana consumption 70%. But the cool thing with this build is you're going to take 4 out of 4 in the Ash compartment, which explosive traps now do more damage. But the cool... it hits for fire resistance too, if that matters. But the cool thing right here is whenever you hit an enemy with a melee attack, you attach an explosive trap to that enemy. That effect has a 1.5 second cooldown, and the attached trap explodes after 1 second, or when the enemy dies. So that'll be cool. A majority of the time, you'll just get this. You'll get your explosive trap just from doing melee damage. You're mainly just going to want to use this on bosses, I would say, as well. Now, obviously, if you're doing melee damage to like a rare or something, you might put it down and it'll do damage. But there's gonna be a lot of traps getting flung all over the place from these skills over here. I don't necessarily know if you need 4 out of 4 on this because of this ability right here. But if you don't need this, I mean, because you could melee and then throw the other 3 down. I don't know if, because there's 4 maximum traps, I can melee 4 times and have it put down 4 times. That's some testing I still have to do. If it doesn't work that way, then you probably want to put this down to 1. But the main part is just to get like these abilities right here. Like I said, I haven't got the fully test this build out yet. But I think that, overall it's still a really solid build, and I think the more testing I do, the better I can tell y'all on how it works completely. I'm only like level 30 right now, and it's already really strong. So, I mean, yeah, like I said, I'll have to give y'all an updated version, but overall this is the main gist of the build. I think it's really fun. It's quick. You can take out packs easily, and the single target is just as damn good, honestly. And this build has only been getting stronger as I've gone up in levels. I mean, I've noticed that some builds kind of stay like similar damage level when you go up, but this build is scaling really nicely, and it does everything well. Like I said, it's quick, good pack clear, good single target. But yeah, that's pretty much it. As soon as I get gameplay, I will let y'all see it and kind of see for yourself how it works. But yeah, I appreciate everybody stopping by. Make sure you leave a like and a sub. And yeah, I will see y'all next time. Peace.